And we're live. Welcome back, everyone, to the HVAC 2.0 show. We're back after a few week
Hiatus.
break hiatus, uh, but we're back and with some at least one good story and probably a few other good things we can talk about. Well, I mean, I guess we can just get right into it. And is there unless there was something else we wanted to go over first before I get into my story?
Well, so Eric added manual J to likely load range. I know a lot of guys do a manual J anyway. Like Reedy's always doing a manual J.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put manual J into likely load range so that people can say, this is your manual J. And then explain that, this is a manual J without a blower door. So it's, you know, like the load range is still probably encompassing the load, but the manual J, the non-specific manual J that we got tells you this. And I think that's going to be helpful for people uh, to understand, hey, your manual J is a little bit bigger than your ductwork. Or, hey, your manual J is smaller than your ductwork. And then they'll also be able to compare the manual J to their current sized equipment. So that'll help both the homeowner and the contractor get an idea if further diagnostics and modeling are warranted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the manual J comes in below their current size and below their duct capacity, then and I should have brought that up so that I could share it. So I could probably do that. Let's see, share screen. They keep changing this up on me, so I have no idea if I'm. So if you enter the manual J and it comes in at 30,000 on the heating and 23,000 on the cooling, this is how it shows up. And then you see here, well, based on either measure quick or static pressure or measure quick and true flow, or just eyeballing, it looks like you have sufficient duct for the equipment that your manual J says is the appropriate size, even if you're a little tight putting back in the same. You want to go back with 2.5 ton, we should get a variable speed because you're pushing your limits of your ductwork.
Mm-hmm.
And this way it'll run well within specification most of the time, except for when it's throttled up. So it allows for those conversations. If that, I don't know. Does that seem? I think that's an improvement. I don't know. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, especially it's just another layer to offer clarity,
Right.
essentially, of here,
A basic
like,
manual J gets
yeah,
you this,
yeah,
and
yeah,
particularly if it's required. And it's like we're required to do this, so this is
mm-hmm,
it's not very precise because it doesn't have measured infiltration, but by putting it on likely load range, it also helps you understand, you know, where your house falls
yeah,
as far as square footage to energy use intensity and all the rest of that.
yeah, yeah, and also it can kind of bracket things in of going, okay, here's manual J that's aiming right in the middle of potential best case, potential worst case for your for the leakage of your house. So then you can go, here's where that falls, and then it just kind of puts into perspective what does that mean? Like how much smaller can the equipment be if it is very tight? How much bigger can the equipment be if it is very leaky, and that sort of thing. So it's
Right. And it allows you to have the conversation. Hey, if your manual J is sort of in the red, it indicates that there's likely some pretty easy improvements to the house that you could make.
hmm
And rather than budgeting a lot of money to replace ductwork, we can downsize the equipment to fit the ductwork you got and save that budget that you were going to spend on ductwork to fixing the house. Hi, Jaden. Um, so he's continually improving this, and I worked on the wording for this stuff a little bit too. I guess I'll post it to one of our albums. Um, uh, without further information, the industry standard is to change equipment out for like. This is likely to maintain current comfort levels or degenerate them somewhat. This wording I changed. An accurate load calculation to determine the right sized equipment for your home is best done with prior energy use and interview and a blower door test. These are part of the HVAC20 comfort consult, which you could have if you like. So this wording, this is sort of the standard wording, and then there's also going to be notes fields that you can include, like this right here. A 2-ton variable speed heat pump is probably a good fit. Measure quick and true flow testing would help more accurately measure maximum duct BTU delivery capacity. Heating notes. Basic manual J suggests worst case heating load is 30,000 BTU. So, and there will be notes. There's a notes field now underneath the cooling system size also. So I think the report is still it's a little bit of a beta version. And we'd like it to get to where when you send it to the homeowner, they don't have to remember anything, right? It
hmm
refreshes them about what was discussed at the free quote visit. And so it'll also have links to the 2 videos. And that way they can go through the videos again too. The static pressure video and the 6 functions of HVAC video. That's all I have, and I think you had 2 stories, right? You had a success story, and then you were gonna what was the other thing?
I'm saying I'm trying. Well, I've got the air quality uh, project where I've put together a case study.
Okay.
Um, that's primarily what
Well, in the
he's going
Facebook
to share.
marketing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you're having some success with Facebook marketing, and you were gonna talk about that too.
yeah. I've got one. Let me pull up. I can share some numbers. What I'll
Do I
do
have
is
to unshare? There we go.
let's see. Let me find my. Okay, yeah. So here we are. I'll share my screen and I'll show what these numbers have done. Let's see. We'll just do this window. Okay. So this was a very brief campaign that I did,
Okay.
and uh, essentially what the offer was just a $19 heating checkup. It was a come out, take a look at your heating, making sure it works. So what I did, or what was actually included in with that for the technical side of things, is it wasn't a super in-depth measure quick checkup. It was, um, you know, I
Visual.
Visual, I would take 2 probes, to put in the ductwork, check, if it's a gas furnace, I'll check temperature rise and do a quick combustion test and a CO check in the house with an analyzer. If it's a heat pump, checking, heat pump operation, checking, strip heat operations, and just kind of looking things over. All in all, for the most part, I was usually there. I probably had an average time of 25 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. The
So an
ones that
hour
they're
including drive time.
Yeah, so it was, not a lot of time invested, and of course, yeah, I've seen a lot of people on Facebook, complaining. They'll see like the Home Depot $8.88 checkup, and
Right.
people griping away, which just kind of shows that what how little they understand the business side of things of what a loss leader is, and
Right.
the idea that if you
You're gonna be there 2 hours doing cleaning and checking
yeah,
the pulling the burners and, mm,
yeah,
cleaning the
well,
coils.
yeah, I mean, really, all it is like for $19, here was my goal. For $19, someone that doesn't know who I am has me out and gives me a chance to provide what to them is gonna feel like a shit ton of value for $19.
Right,
And then
an
at the end
assessment
yeah, and
of a thing that they don't understand.
yeah, and at the end, I can go, "Hey, do you feel like this is something that might be worth having once a year?" And they're like, "Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got this membership program. It's
Okay.
$199 a year. So think that might be something you might want to, set up and have done." And they say yes. Well, guess what? For $19, I've now sold, or to go out for $19, I sold a $200 membership, and now I have a new customer. And
'Kay.
so I'm paying money to gain a customer. Like
Yeah.
that's what this is. This isn't I'm not trying to make money on
On
$19.
the
Now,
visit. You're not trying to
yes,
make the money on the visit,
exactly.
you're trying to make the customer,
Exactly. And
and then hopefully keep them for life if you bring them value.
yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, like if you know what to look for and you check the big issues and you just ask questions, you're gonna come across problems, which is kind
Right.
of what I did here. And
A
one
lot of
of
people
these
aren't gonna have you out for $19 unless they
yeah,
have some questions or concerns, and if they have questions or concerns, there's a good chance you're gonna run into a problem.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I even
It's a
had
good
like one.
filter.
Yeah, and one of them was, like, someone had seen the ad, and this was kinda set up more for, "Hey, your system's working, and you just wanna make sure it's working well." Well, I mean, I did have one person that was like, "Hey, I seen you have a promotion, my system's not working," which is like,
Oh,
"Okay, sure." It's basically a discounted service call, but still, I don't care because they're going, "I'm using this guy because I feel like I'm getting a deal because I'm gonna get it for $19 versus a service call fee," and to me, I'm going, "Hey, now I know there's a problem, so I know
I'm
I'm gonna
happy to
quote
come out
something."
also. Yeah.
Yeah, so at a minimum and do some work, again, gain the customer, and of course, I'm showing these numbers just because when I say $19 heat checkup, the amount of people that I know on Facebook is gonna be rolling their eyes going, "You can't make money doing that,
You
blah, blah,
can't.
blah," and that way I can show right here, well, actually, for every dollar I spent, I was getting $5.53 in gross profit back.
Right,
It's
right. So
not
it turned into a fair amount of work,
yeah, and,
and some people were actually, maybe kicking the tire on replacing equipment or whatever.
yeah, and this was like a very I mean, I ran this for less I think it was close to a week. Like, this was a very short burst that happened. I got 15 leads in this. I spent total ad spend was $1,349. This is I got these down pretty down to the cent. My gross profit I rounded the cents up to dollars, so that's a little rounded. But this is exact, you know, spent cost that uh, that
Came
went
back.
towards those ads. For 1,300, that got me 15 total leads. Of those 15 leads, I booked 14 of them. Actually, I can't even remember. I can't remember the one that didn't book or why. But anyways, and then of those 14, 9 of them sold something additional on top of the
The
actual
$19.
$19 fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody paid the $19, but 9 of them, actually got something extra, which, is for a booking rate, that's 93%. My closing rate was 64%. Again, uh, past the $19, which ended up giving me a total revenue of $8,600 and total gross, profit of $7,400. Which, when you weigh all
So
this
high
out,
margin work.
yes, yes, because, uh, I'm trying to remember which one of these I'm going to actually be getting into this case study, because that's what it turned into. And I was just going to kind of show these numbers here. I will Let me switch over to this for the time being, so I can, because I'll get into this in a second, and I'll scroll to my to some of these. So to start with on this, how this one came about, again, it was the $19 checkup, and what I did is went out, and one of the first questions that I always ask people, or I would give them a what to expect when I would get there and go, hey, I'm just going to check everything over. If I see any big major issues, I'll let you know that. If I see any minor stuff or potential improvements, would you like me to let you know about that? And I would wait. They would go, yes, like anything you see, just let me know. So I get the approval, get the okay to bring issues up to them. And then I also go, and while I'm checking it, is there anything in particular that you'd like me to spend more time on? Is there anything that you were kind of worried about? Any weird noises? Just anything? And they would tell me things or tell me not things. And this lady, it started out. She begins with, well, just make sure everything's working because I'm sure there's problems because I've just had all kinds of problems with this house since it's been built. And I go, oh, really? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And she tells me, oh, well, it's a house. It's less than a year old, and she said once she got moved in, it just seemed like it was one thing after another. They didn't really seem to know what they were doing, you know, blah, blah, blah. And this was kind of a brief conversation, and I go, and it didn't really lead much there, but I just go, okay, well, let me go. I want to check out this system. Oh, also, side note, she had a gas fireplace, unvented gas fireplace. So I went, okay, well, let me go check this. And also, I noticed she had this gas fireplace. We'll turn it on and run it, and I'm just going to do a CO test while I'm here, just making sure everything's safe. She goes, okay, well, I definitely want to. You know, check that out. Because then she goes, because I'm kind of like, she kind of gave the inclination that there was potentially some issues. And I go,
Associated with a gas fireplace.
yes. And so I go, okay, well, we'll definitely check that out. Let me go double check your unit first. We'll see where we go. So I went out, checked it. It's a brand new unit. So, it was a package unit. The install was actually quite nice. There was nothing about it that was like, "Oh, this is a problem." Aside there, they definitely didn't check static pressure, but this was actually one of the very few that was below zero point 0.5. So
Oh my
I was like,
goodness.
that was interesting. So the unit itself, a-okay, no problems. Aside from it being a gas furnace on a fairly small house that I know for sure is oversized,
Okay.
that was the
Equipment, so
only.
there's plenty of duct even though the equipment was oversized.
Yes.
So
And
that's kinda
so,
rare.
yes. And so, uh I checked that out. Everything was good. Came back in with my CO, I mean, my combustion analyzer, going to do a CO check. And while I was doing this, I was also doing it as a way, okay, I could be checking this thing, I can be doing something and asking more questions. Because with any of this, like the main idea is asking them the questions that nobody else has asked to get into the pains that no one's uncovered,
Right.
because that's where, that's where where situations like this come about. Now
The
kind of,
homeowner wants you to come up with the questions that are gonna lead to solving their problems.
yes,
So if you don't figure out what those questions are, they don't know them.
yes,
Most of the time, they're like, "Well, I had this, whatchamacallit whatever problem," but you need to sort of help them narrow in on why and when that happens.
yes, exactly. And so, I just start asking some questions of just like, uh, well, no, let me back up. I had noticed she had an air purifier in one of her back rooms. And so, as I was checking things, there's a few questions I tend to ask normally, which is, do you feel like your house is excessively dusty? Like that's one that it's either an immediate people's just like, yes, I feel like I have to dust all the time, or they're like, I mean, I don't really think so. That tends to be the two answers that you get. And so it's a good like, temperature check for that. But I
Mm.
also noticed that she had an air purifier. So I started with, yeah, I noticed have that air purifier in the back. Is that something that you had for a particular reason? And she starts to go into, well, uh, you know, it's how she started with, well, what does she call it? She does like uh it's like sewing, but she, like, does a lot of fabric work. I forgot what that was called, but she was saying how it gets kind of dusty just from the fabric and stuff like
Okay.
that, and so she was like, "Well, I kinda I got it for that mostly," and I go, "Oh, okay, well, so but overall, like, have you felt like that I mean, has it been
Works
kind of
good?
dusty everywhere, or, you know, is it just that one room? And if so, like, how well is it done for you?" And, and she goes, "Well, how'd she word it? I can't remember her exact words, but it was something along the lines of just like, actually, uh, I don't think I've ever had to dust as much as this brand new house." And I'm like, "Oh, is that just for that back room where your fabric's at?" She's like, "No, this the whole house." And I go, "Oh, okay." And I think that's when I asked how well has the air purifier done? Like, have you noticed an improvement? She goes, "Yeah, I can't like I notice a difference, but yeah, I can't remember. It was something along the lines of yes, but not
Not
drastic."
as much as she would have liked.
Yeah, and she
She
also
was
said
hoping
that
for.
yeah, and it only helped the area that was in. So if she left it in the back, it helped back there a little bit, but then she'd have to bring it up into the living room for it to somewhat help there. And so started to kind of peel back these issues. Well, after that,
So it may not have been really all that helpful at all. It might have just been a
yeah,
placebo.
yeah, very
Okay.
likely. And so that rolls into I go, "Okay, well, just overall, like, I mean, have you felt like the house has been, like, relatively clean? Have you had any, like, potential, like, things that make you think the air quality isn't what it should be?" And she goes, "Well, I have COPD and, pretty bad allergies, and ever since I've moved into this house, it's just it felt like I just couldn't breathe as well as I should be able to." And so that's like
She's not sleeping. She's not I mean, she's
yeah,
uncomfortable.
yeah, and so, uh to get I guess to kind of speed things up, this is where it kind of got into the real conversation of like, "Oh, okay, we have some significant issues." So I just kind of asked some more questions like, what's going on? What have you tried? Uh, in your words, how bad is it? What have you noticed? Because she had just recently moved in, so it was kind of an easy go. Okay, before you moved in, what was it like? After you moved in, what was it like? What do you think it is? What have you tried? That sort of thing. And it kind of boiled down to uh, that she was she was coming to the conclusion that it was the house. She just didn't know exactly why, and she didn't know how to fix or even if it could be fixed. She did note that she's always had some potential breathing issues because of the COPD, but it's never been nearly as bad as it has been in this house. Uh,
Mm,
and she even got to the point of saying that which this kind of lumped into just the dealing this builder just did not do a very good job, and she was like, after going through all this, she kind of questioned why she even moved here to begin with. Like, she was
oh,
kinda
that's too bad.
at a place like this. Oh, which I've kind of left out a fairly critical detail. This lady is I think she said she was 78, so
Okay.
older lady living by herself, and so it's this situation where she had a house built, where she spent a good chunk of money, and she was just very unhappy with the house at the end of the day.
Mm,
And part of it was this, part of it was other things.
okay.
So, what uh, we kind of touched on some things, and she first laid out like, well, I really want to do something about this, but I've just basically spent all of my money on all these other things with the house, the expenses that I didn't know I was going to have to do or have to redo, that all kind of come back down to the builder, such as I mean that her house is on a pretty steep hill, and they didn't pave, like they didn't lay she said she asked for a concrete driveway, which is a very small driveway. They left it gravel. And she's like,
Oh,
I can't walk on this. Like I need it flat. Like I want it flat." And they still didn't do it flat. But then they did that, which then created this water runoff issue where the water runoff was going into a
indoor
neighboring parking lot.
garage. Oh, yeah.
And so then they're complaining because their, parking lot's being washed away. So then she had to pay even more money to have the drainage rerouted. So she was kind of in this place of like, I've spent all of my money on this house type thing. And so I was just kind of like, well,
The driveway ate up her cushion.
yes. Along with there were other things, but that was kind of one of the big ones. And so I just kind of go, well, like this is something I feel like we could probably help you out with. Unfortunately, right now, like I can spitball and I can give you some abouts, some whatabouts, but I don't know exactly what is it in the air that could be. Is the air bad? Even is the air even bad? Is there thing like I can look at your equipment and see things that stick out to me that maybe I would have done different. But my first starting point would probably be to do just some, basic testing, that sort of thing. She was like, well, I just want to kind of know, like, what are some things I can do? So she was kind of waving away from the testing, wasn't really wanting to do that. Um, so we kind of talked about some like potential different options. I kind of go, okay, here's a filtration package, here's a fresh air package, and here some different things we can do with that. And at first she didn't make a decision that day, and I just go, okay, well I kind of set up another like meeting about, okay, how about I forgot what the day was. Next Tuesday, I can come back, give you some time to think over this. She wanted to talk with her financial advisor, see how much money that she, might could spare, that sort of thing. Set up a day. I went back to her
So
house.
you haven't left a haven there yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Um, she had some rough ideas. She had some rough numbers of what it was going to be looking at, and she went and talked to her financial advisor. The next follow up before we did it, I called her and I was like, okay, well, just before I get there, what are the factors that is, what are the things that's keeping you from wanting to try to improve this? Like, what should I, for me to be as prepared as I possibly can? What are the things that may be some hiccups for you that may make or break you moving forward? And so she was kind of saying that she wants to spend the money to fix it. She's just worried that she don't want to spend a bunch of money and it not help. So it kind of
Right.
come down to understanding. So I go, okay, well, how about this? The next, like when we have our meeting, I'm going to have you a few different options. I'm going to break these down into just very basic, plain English, so that way you can understand what it is and how we're trying to fix this. And then I'll give you three different options, good, better, best, and we can go from there. She goes, okay, great. So I go out, I go back out again, sit down at her table. I use my tablet and just kind of using the drawing function. And I like to use a bucket with water as like an analogy for air quality, meaning like, okay, if you've got a bucket and it's got dirty water, uh, there's a few different ways you can clean this water. You can attach a pump with a filter and circulate water out of the bucket back into the bucket and, filter out the debris. You can add clean water in at the same time. You can like do all these things. So I was kind of just very basic
That's a nice
terms.
way of explaining it to an
Yeah.
85-year-old woman.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to, make it as, uh, you don't want to, make things up or misconstrue or lie about things, but you want to dumb it down to where somebody can go, okay, I understand why a large media filter is going to help and why fresh air is going to help. Because just saying those things doesn't mean anything. Actually
Right.
showing what it's going to do. And so that was one of the things that was resonating with her a lot. At the end of that, she's like, okay, well that makes a lot of sense. I could see her
Light bulbs
really,
going
yeah,
off.
light bulbs going off, and she was kind of getting excited about it because it was making sense. It was okay, well, if this is the case, blah blah blah. And so I go, okay, well, and I had three packages that I put to her. I said, well, without knowing anything, it's hard for me to offer anything below a MERV 16 large media filter. And I go in, and for that to work, I'm going to have to also upsize your return duct. Luckily, you've got the ductwork capacity that we can make this work. But without knowing anything, I feel like This is something that's going to be an absolute minimum. And I go, so then the next piece is, do we want to have fresh air? Yes or no? And she had a spray foamed house, and so it's you've got a spray foamed
Oh,
house.
it's
It's
likely got a very tight house.
it's likely very tight, and you've got an unvented gas
Fire
fireplace that you
fireplace.
may not want to run a ton. And if you do, being able to bring in fresh air that's going to be clean is going to be very helpful. The question is, how do we want to do this? We
Has she
have
been using the fireplace a lot?
a little bit, but she
Okay.
said that she would use it. And there was a
She
few times
she
while we
could
were,
associate it with making her problems worse.
yes, like
So
her
she's
voice
got
was
a
going.
brand new house that's off gassing a lot. It's
Hmm.
very tight, has no fresh air,
Yes. And I
and
mean,
poor filtration.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And it was so much that like when when we were talking, I think the second time and even the third time, because I was there for a good bit. The third time I was there for about an hour, and
Okay.
us just sitting there talking, like her voice was going out, like us
Okay.
just sitting there, and so it was kind of laying these things out. She definitely understood. The three options I gave was okay, large media MERV 16 filter with just a fresh air scuttle to return. Just very basic, typically what we offer on new installs, in
Right.
2.0. Um, the next step up, I was going to include was going to be okay. Let's do this, but we're going to add a Haven room air monitor with a controller, and then install a motorized damper on the fresh air, so that way we can automate when we bring in fresh air, when's a good time to do it and when's a good time not to do it. And I kind of explain we're pretty close to the highway. Uh, if outdoor air quality is worse than indoor air quality,
We
probably
don't
not a
wanna
good
be
idea to,
bringing outdoor
yeah,
air in.
yeah. And if it's really humid outside, probably don't want to bring it in. If it's really cold or really hot outside, probably don't want to bring it in. And so,
Wi with
uh,
with this, we can get you your fresh air when the air is fresh and
yes,
not bring it in when it's not,
yes.
and know whether or not it's fresh or not.
Yes, and bring it in all, like when you bring in outside air when it's cold or hot, you've got to heat or cool that air. So it's
Right.
adding you're going to have to spend money to heat and cool it. So if you don't need it, let's keep it closed and not bring it in. And that's one of the things I really like about the Haven room air monitor with the controller is being able to automate that is great. And
And
so,
the data logging over
oh
time.
yeah,
It tells you what you
yes,
it helps you have a better understanding of the things that are causing problems for her. And if
yes,
you can keep track of, "Oh, it's bothering me now. Oh, it's not bothering me now," then you can go back and look what the air quality looked like at those times.
yes, and and also it's a if you're going to implement corrections, it's a if you can install the monitor first, get a little beforehand data, we can actually see what kind of difference did our work make. And I think she liked the transparency with the data, being able to see before and after. She liked the clarity of
Hard to
understanding why.
explain. It's hard to explain, but once they understand that data logging really helps you know what you got,
Hmm.
then I think people are like, "Oh, yeah, well, seems obvious that I'd want that."
Yes. And so, and then the third tier option I was offering was okay, instead of having a just motorized damper, well, we can have an actual, fresh air ventilator, like a fan, to be able to uh, increase the amount of air. Like if we really need a lot of fresh air for whatever reason, maybe you start cooking, maybe you're burning your fireplace and the NOx is starting to go up, or whatever, and you need more. Maybe a bunch
You
of
can
people come over.
turbocharge it,
Yeah,
basically. This is
yeah,
this is a turbocharger for your fresh air.
yes. And so, and I gave that option. She opted for the middle option, and so I installed the Haven that day, and we executed the project, I think, a week and a day later. So I got about a week's worth of data beforehand, and then we got to see the data afterwards. So, kind of just going through this case study, I will say, in terms of quotes from a customer and review and how happy she is with it, this one has been top tier.
Well worth the 19 bucks or
Yeah.
the $100 that you spent on getting her lead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this just kind of breaks down quickly, like roughly what we did. It was a newer house, roughly 1,500 square feet. This was a direct quote, so I called back when I followed up, and I was just like, want to go, hey, you know,
It's
would you
been a
mind if
week.
I? Yeah, and I was just kind of, I'd already asked her if it was okay to kind of share some of this information and if I could kind of quote her on some stuff, and she was like, absolutely, you can quote whatever you want. She was even saying, she said, if you've got somebody that's thinking about wanting something like this and they're
Have them
not
call
sure,
me.
have them come over and have them look at it and they can see it and they can feel inside this house, and
Oh,
I'll
that's
tell them they absolutely should do
what
it.
a lovely lady. She wants to
So,
help other people.
yes. And
That's
so
awesome.
her direct quote initially was, I just felt like that as long as I'd lived here, I've been sick and I could not breathe well in my home. With my COPD, I would literally have gotten to where I just couldn't breathe. I'd stay on an inhaler all the time. Like, this was a direct quote. And then after that, she says, from before till now, it's improved 150%. She probably said that 4 times.
Oh,
The
that's
the
nifty.
way
That's
she said,
nifty.
"The way I can breathe, the cleanliness in my home, I don't see any dust bunnies sitting around. I would recommend it to anybody, I don't care who they are, even if I don't like them, I would recommend it." And this was a review. We couldn't Her Google wasn't working, so she left a Facebook review, so this is a
Okay.
screenshot of her, uh, review from it, and so again, you
So
know,
go ahead and read it.
so she goes, Tanner is the most polite young man. He explained the system so I could understand. I have COPD and allergies and have had a hard time breathing ever since I moved back to Gunnersville. My breathing has improved 100% since Tanner installed my system. He also made a trip after the installation to go over how much the air in my home has improved since installation. I would highly recommend this system for anyone, especially if you're having breathing problems. So,
Wow.
so pretty good. uh, she's pretty happy to say the least.
That's awesome.
And so
It
then,
changed her life. She's sleeping and she's
mhm,
not using her inhaler.
yes, and I mean, if I'll also put this into the comments if someone wants to go through and read this full case study. I kind of go fairly detailed in this. I'm just going to kind of hit on the highlights, mostly a lot of her quotes, just so it's a
Okay.
here's what she's saying, and then I've got a lot of data here coming up soon to kind of show exactly what it did, how big of a difference it made, and that sort of thing. So in her words, this was what she was experiencing before, and it was, I could run a dust mop over the floor, and by the time I got through the house, there would be dust bunnies as big as my first round on my finger. Not sure what that analogy means exactly, but uh, a big bunny sitting around. Uh, she goes, you could. I couldn't even get rid of the dust, and I have COPD and couldn't breathe, and it seemed like I was constantly having allergy reactions. Another quote of, I just felt like as long as I'd lived here, I felt like that as long as I'd lived here since I moved from Tennessee, I've been sick, and I'd have to stay on my inhaler all the time, and I just could not breathe well in my home. I never had this problem before, so it was a lot of immediate pains of before or from moving into this house new. Um, so some tests. Now this testing was kind of, it started at the $19 uh, checkup because I did check static pressure then, and I checked
Okay.
filter drop, pressure
Okay.
filter drop as well. Um,
She have
and
a
so
1-inch filter
she's
originally?
yes, she had a 1 inch is what she had at first. It was like a MERV 6, MERV 8, something like
Okay.
that. So I So this was beforehand. This was with the regular 1 inch. We had a pressure drop of 1.29, 1.3 essentially. The static pressure was zero point 0.4 or 0.43,
Okay.
which was you know a lot better than what you typically see. So
Right,
that was
right,
good.
right.
Now, one issue that I also measured is while checking CO in the house, this gas fireplace was putting out about 14 parts per million of carbon monoxide while it was
Okay,
running. So, you
okay.
know, as crazy as it sounds, that's kind of standard.
Well,
It does that.
they unvented fireplace, it's like leaving your car running in the garage.
Yep. And so, let's see. So this is the test that I took at that $19 checkup.
Mhm.
Um, what like what she bought, essentially what we were trying to go for is, okay, we know if we improve filtration, we're going to get better. It's just the question of, is it going to solve the
Be
problem?
better
We don't
enough.
know. Yeah, exactly. We know we don't have any means of fresh air, so being able to bring in fresh air and being able to heat it, cool
Probably
it,
gonna
and
make it
filter it,
better too. Yeah.
probably going to make it better. It can't make it worse. And also, using monitoring and a controller, we can see what's happening and actually start to change things additionally if needed. So another thing she also was, we talked about is, because I didn't, another thing I should have mentioned this while I was telling the story. When I gave her those options, I wasn't presenting these options as this is going to solve your problem. I
Right.
was presenting it in this is for sure going to make it better. We just don't know if it's going to make it better enough.
This is the path that we usually find people are
Yes.
find improvement.
Yes, and so one of the things that she liked is that I've laid out, "Hey, these things we're doing, we're not gonna have to undo or redo any of this.
Right.
It's
Right. There's
we
no
can."
throwaway
Yeah,
associated with this. These are improvements to your house, even if they don't get you all the way.
yes, and we can always do additional stuff on top of it if need be, and so
Right.
she did really like the idea that she wasn't gonna be wasting money if it didn't get 100% better, that at a minimum, if it didn't quite get there, we still have the ability to, do
Do
some of
more.
the additional stuff if needed. So, first thing, like I said, we installed that air quality monitor and we got uh, we started gathering some data. I'm not going to go through all this, but
So with the
essentially,
Haven, do you control the furnace fan?
yes. And
Okay.
I did have to go back and replace the thermostat. Uh, did I add a picture of it? I don't think I did. Um, there was a particular thermostat. It's the first time I've come across it where when you send power to the G wire, which is what brings on the fan, it was backfeeding through the thermostat into the Y call,
Oh
which
my
brings on
goodness.
cooling. So when my controller was trying to kick the fan on, it was kicking it in cooling mode.
Oh,
So I
geez.
did have to replace that thermostat, which was not the best, but I now know for that brand, not the
That they
greatest.
suck. Yeah.
Yeah. But, so all we did is, we're just gonna, redesign the filtration setup, build a filtration box. I used the April Air, 32 by 28 MERV 16. So we're going extremely large,
Yeah.
something that can easily handle the airflow for this 3-ton unit, or was it a
So
three and
her
a half?
static pressure went down.
Yes. Yes, a good bit. So we upgraded that. We added, uh, you know, fresh air to it with 8-inch fresh air with a damper, motorized damper that
Okay.
we can control. And
Lot of fresh air.
it was a very short run as well. So yeah, we're getting a lot of fresh
Right,
air.
fresh air.
Um, let's see. And then obviously, wired up the controls and stuff like that. So this is what it looked like before, very standard, not a terrible job. They
Right,
did
sure.
bubble wrap, not my favorite, but
Well,
it
plenty
is
of
what it
room
is.
down there to have a split
Y-
system. That's a
yes.
shame.
Yes. And so this was our before, and this is what we did after. So
Beautiful.
we went from, this was a 16-inch round duct, went from a 16-inch to a 20-inch.
Okay.
Uh, built this large sheet metal box with our fresh air coming into it. So our fresh air intake hoods right here going through the foundation wall.
Gotcha.
Here's our Haven controller, large, MERV 16 media filter with our damper. This wired up to being able to control everything properly. And then
Okay.
here's a few close-ups of the different things. Uh,
Folks at Haven gotta be happy with you for did you show them this?
um, not, I don't think so, not yet. I've been
Okay.
talking with Kevin. Uh, they're going to be doing this new feature for short-term assessments, and I'm got set up for a beta testing on that, and I'm currently testing
Okay.
another place. So I've been in talks with them on some stuff for these types of use cases, or at least the short-term study type stuff. Um, so that was all the work that we did, and here were some of the measured results. So this was the
Wow.
static pressure after. So we went from 0.43 to 0.29.
Wow.
Uh, Pressure filter drop. This was something I wanted to measure just to kind of also show because
Sure.
people will be like the large, MERV 16. It's just too restrictive. Well, if
Right.
we go back up here, we were at a 0.129 for a MERV 8, and we went from a MERV 8 to a MERV 16, and it did not go up very much. I mean,
Right.
barely, and that's
Right.
insanely better uh, uh,
Filtration is
filtration, and the
geometrically better,
yeah.
right?
Yes, and this works out well because, like, when it comes to especially these large media filters, uh, like when you need to change the filter is kind of predicated on two different things: the the pressure drop across the filter while it's clean, and it not, I think the rule of thumb I've seen is once the pressure drop doubles, then that's when
Okay.
you need to change it, or if your total external static hits point
Right.
five,
So
and
now
so
you
it's
know what it'll read when it hits point 0.5.
yeah, and so
Got a
now
long way to go.
that's what I can do is next time I'm at this house, rather than just go, we're going to change the filter, we're going to measure this pressure drop and measure static pressure, and if this number doubles or if this hits point 0.5 first, that's when we need to change the filter, and we can judge, okay, is this going to be is it going to take 2 years? Is it going to take a year?
Right.
That
Right.
sort of thing. Now,
You don't need to change your filter every 6 months. Oh, you don't even need to change it every year. You need to do it every 18 months based
yep,
on the way it's plugging up.
yep. And so we got that. So these are all before metric numbers. So this is the PM 2.5.
Okay.
And here's something that I also think is interesting to note. If we look where the readings stay most of the time, we're really not that bad. Like we're in the green way
What's she
more
doing,
than we're in
cooking
the
or what is it?
yeah. These
It's
are times
cooking.
where she's
Does her
cooking.
kitchen exhaust go to outdoors?
No.
Okay, so that would be the next improvement is
Yes.
kitchen exhaust outdoors and turning it on before she got a gas, um
Yes. Yep.
so she got a lot of combustion in the
Yes.
house that's unvented. Okay.
Yes, which was also that well, it was also one of the things we had talked about of why using this Haven controller and some means of being able to bring in fresh air when needed because, if our NOx or CO2 jumps up or PM 2.5 jumps up and we're picking it up from her cooking, we want some way to be able to trigger that outside air to come in and,
Mhm.
kind of clean that out. But but what's interesting is, I mean, obviously she's having significant issues, but our readings aren't that bad at baseline,
Right.
but the big
It's the
problem,
spikes that are throwing her for a loop.
yeah, well, it's the spikes, and also if you look at,
Takes a long time to drop
these
back too.
ticks, exactly, that's what it see, this is, a half a day's worth right here. We have
Yeah,
some days where it's taken almost 8 hours to return back to baseline after she's
right.
cooked, and so it's not so much the peak that's, really giving her the issues. It's
After
the
the peak
lingering and
lingering.
it's the never, even though our baseline isn't just astronomically high, but it's still a bit of a problem. Was this CO2? Yeah. So our CO2 also kind of stayed on the higher side. I want to say when I averaged this out, it was uh, it was staying around like 650 to 750 parts per million. So we're kind of we're kind of on the higher-ish side from where we would like to
Does
be.
she use her oven or her stove or both?
I'm not sure. I didn't
Okay.
ask that. Which this was
Seems like
also
seems like switching to electric stove or getting I mean,
mhm,
we've g you she can for $70, she can get an induction stove,
mhm.
and those electric people love those fryers, now
Oh
those air
yeah.
fryers, so induction stove and an air fryer,
Mhm,
even if they're, keep her gas stove of her when she's cooking a lot.
mhm. Yep, definitely so. And so
Huh,
this is just CO2 and the PM 2.5 kind of overlaid
overlaid.
on top of one another. So you can kind of see, what's kind of happening there. Uh,
So, is that CO2 spike because of the fireplace? Because it doesn't seem to spike at those other times.
That I'm not sure what was happening here. So this was when I first connected. I don't know if the sensor was kind of
Oh,
normalizing, doing something
calibrating.
kind of
Okay.
weird.
Right.
Yeah, it
Gotcha.
once it kind of spaced out here, it kind of didn't really jump. Like we didn't have
You didn't
really
have any
big
others.
jumps or anything. But,
Yeah.
she also like she's not having large groups of people
But
coming in her house.
you did have the fireplace running. Or this was the next day. This is another day. You
Um,
didn't run the fireplace before putting this in.
no. Well,
Okay.
yes, that now up here when I measured this CO, we turned it on just so I could check for this. But as
Uh-huh.
far how often she was running this. I don't think it was much just because, she said she noticed it bothering her and that sort of thing. Um, but the monitor's still in, so I'm still seeing how the house is working and that sort of thing. Uh,
Okay.
but this is where it gets interesting. So if you
Oh
notice
my
a
god,
very
that's before and after?
yes,
How cool is that?
very. I mean, it's
She
an
must have seen
immediate
this and just gone, "Oh,
yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah,
glad I got that monitor.
because we went from, this was our I mean,
Oh, look at how spiky it is."
before it wasn't just I mean, at 4, microns per cubic meter, like, it's not terrible, like, you can see our fair line is up
Probably enough
here.
to trigger her, though. I mean,
Exactly, but if it's the right stuff in the air, if that's her allergy triggers,
yeah.
even though it's not much, it's enough to bother her. Well, we installed this large media because MERV 16, very low, total external static pressure, meaning very
Works
low.
very low face velocity, so it's
Yes,
doing a really good job.
exactly. So we were able to see just a drop off. Like, I mean, it hit a cliff. I mean, there was
Wow,
times like a good chunk of the time, like you can see in this space and all through here, we're at 0. It's
wow.
measuring nothing. And and also you can
So you can
see,
almost see when she does the laundry or does the
yep,
cooking or whatever.
yep. And we kind of went combed through some of this right here. So like this peak right here was actually a day that uh she went shopping and she backed her car into her garage. The garage door was open and she left her door open into the house to move stuff in, and it was open for a while. And the monitor's pretty close to that interior door
Get
there.
an electric car because just starting your car up on in the garage and then driving it out and then closing the door, you block a whole lot of carbon monoxide in that garage.
Yep. And so we see big drop off there.
Into the garage was always a problem when I was doing energy audits.
Oh yeah. Oh, I bet so.
Like, people didn't understand how to connect it, and particularly if the garage is low relative to the house, then during the winter time, there's gonna be stack pulling from that garage.
Oh yeah. Yep. And so here is the CO2 after. Now, it doesn't look as like a nice pretty drop off the way the other one is, but if we look at where this is kind of averaging, I mean, we're not getting over 550 parts per million, often at all. So
Unless she gets a
it's
get has a guest over.
yep. So it's a big drop, and if we go here, which I kind of backed up, so this was before, after.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's a
Okay.
very clear change, and again, just more proof that what we did here, granted, very short 8-inch, fresh air intake like that. When you need fresh air, you can really pump it in.
Right.
And so again, that was we were able to we're able to document and actually see a clear drop in PM 2.5 and CO, um, and kind
So
of
is
get
she running her fan all the time? Is that what you're doing, or you're triggering it to run the fan during certain times, or how's that work?
triggering it to run the fan just if it gets above. Well, let me take that back. At first, we ran it continuously,
Okay.
like to start with, and
Right.
then we've switched it back to just as needed, and we're going to see how big of it. Like, do we see an uptick? Does things get worse or better? If it ends up being something where you know
Could you
we
take
need to
the amp
run the.
draw on the fan?
I did not.
Okay. Is there a way to adjust the fan speed?
No.
Okay. So if
Now,
she needs her fan on, she's going to need her fan on, and even though it's low static, it's not going to be super low, super cheap. It's not like putting an infinity in there and letting it run at
yeah, which I don't think it's
1.1
gonna
static.
yeah, I don't think it'll hurt because even like the G call is gonna be the lower, like it's not running at the
Okay.
cooling fan speed. So it
Okay.
does have
So it's
some
running at
fan speed.
heating fan speed instead of cooling fan speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just doesn't have the ability to like the controller to say run
Really?
high. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I mean,
Gotcha.
I say that technically, like if we had to, we could. I could add another controller, and I could run a speed tap directly to the motor's speed tap, and be
And
able
run
to
it
go
even lower.
run it, yeah, lower, higher, and be able to go, you know, running
Let's run it at
low,
this
running
all
high.
the time, and
Yeah,
boy, yeah, get that static pressure even lower would be
yeah, and so that is an option. But again, here were some other quotes uh, after everything where she goes, I was, she was very glad to see me on Facebook, and I was glad that I had called you, and I've been very, very, very help. I was very, very, very helpful in explaining everything and what was going to do and how it was supposed to affect the house and me. She also said compared to what from before till now, it has improved 150%. Again, that was, she said that several times,
man,
and
if she's okay with it, you should post that one chart that shows the drop off
yeah.
as a reply to, "Thank you. This is what Haven told us,
Hmm.
before and after."
Yep. I did before I put together this full case study. I had another that was kind of this little short snippet showing this drop off, and I put a line showing before the work, after the work, and
Mhm.
that post actually it got a lot more views than my usual
And your
content from
average.
my business. Yeah, I think I
Okay.
got around 1,200 views or
Oh,
something.
okay.
So it was a good uptick from normal. So that definitely going to be trying to do more of these so that way I can
People
make
wanna
more of
see
this
the
type of
data.
content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It,
proof.
yeah, because
It's better proof. It's probably even better proof than the review.
oh yeah.
So in combination of the view, it probably or the review, it triples the value of the review.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just, because I mean, it may not be this specific of like air quality related issues, but
The
everybody's got a
people are
lot
gonna
of
be like,
good.
"Jesus, what'd you made a change to that house that's obvious,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we got the tools to prove it."
Yep.
Oh,
And
that's
so yeah.
awesome.
So that was definitely a fun one, and gonna start, like I said, trying to make more of these just as a like the whole point of this is to just go. Now this was a relatively speaking for a project, this was a pretty small, quick,
Easy, yeah, it's an easy
easy like
project
yeah,
and
this
a great win,
yeah, it wasn't super
particularly for
in
somebody who's, like, just been had a horrible experience with this new house. For her,
yeah,
so she's seeing the light of day finally.
yes. And so but yeah, so now just gonna be I'm gonna be making more of these consistently just for this is gonna serve the role of like, okay, you want like the full scope, the full nitty-gritty details, here it is. And then I can create a bunch of small snippet, short reels or other posts and then cite back to this going, you want to know the full details, go here. And then
Right,
I can like just show like it may be something. I mean, it may be something as simple as just going, does a high MERV rated filter does that hurt airflow? Yes or no? And I can show
right,
this after and go, well, not if you do it right, and then cite back to this case study, or I
right,
can show, something like just this data. Where is it at? Like right here, showing here's this drop off. You want to see how we did this? Go check out this case study. And so this is going to house the full, full scope, the details of exactly what it is, because I tried to be as, pretty broken down of like step by step, here's exactly what I did. And then as I get some more in-depth case studies, it's going to be, more it's going to be more than what this is, but the main idea is to be able to actually put the proof on the forefront of just, not just uh, we do better than everyone else. Just trust me, it's going to go.
Right, right.
Here's an example of, us fixing something that the three other guys couldn't fix.
The other people had no idea what to do,
Yeah,
and they wasted this lady's time and money.
yeah,
Yeah.
and especially as I start trying to kind of navigating using these monitors as like a short-term assessment. That's because I'm doing a commercial job right now where it's and depending on what we do, that'll probably also turn into a case study as well. And so hoping to kind of, see something similar, but just to start kind of building some stuff up, figuring out this pathway for air quality stuff that doesn't just lead to a, headache of dealing with the wrong customer that wasn't qualified properly, or, whatever the case may be. Like I gotta
This is so exciting that these guys at Haven have stuck it out because those Fubots were fantastic, and we were sort of hoping that they would go in this direction, but I think they were too early. And hopefully these guys aren't hopefully we're still not too early
yeah.
because, you know, it feels to me like this is I mean, we're post-COVID, right? So
Mhm.
people probably want they're more in tune with having good air quality than they were 10 years ago when those Fugbot guys came out. I mean, I love those devices. I got one over there still shining blue.
Yeah. I never used the
I
Foodbot,
breathe
but
on it, it goes orange.
yeah. I've never got to use the Foodbot, but I feel like based on what you've described and what Nate's described with them, it's very reminiscent of this. And I think if
Well,
Kevin and
those
Haven,
charts, yeah.
yeah, and if Kevin with Haven is able to really knock out the reporting for the short-term assessment, I think it's going to be killer. Which
Yeah.
I would share some stuff here, but I don't know I don't know for sure if he wants that out or not. So,
Okay. Why
but
don't we
it's
end the stream? We got more than an hour and you can tell me.
sounds good. But yeah, so that's all I got. And I mean, as I start doing more of these and stuff like that, we'll come on here and I'll kind of debrief them, show what I've done, and especially as I start to kind of refine this process that I'm working on. If I find something that works well and I'm able to do well with it, I'll come on here. We'll talk about break down, what I'm doing, what could be better, what could isn't,
Well, the
what's good,
Facebook
what's not good.
advertising thing clearly it's a
Oh yeah.
great way to meet people who are interested in maintaining their equipment.
Yep.
And so it's basically a paid interview.
Yes.
It's where the homeowner's got some skin in the game, so you're willing to go out and see them.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we'll call it there now that we're over an hour. Thanks everybody for coming out, and we'll maybe catch you again in 2 weeks.
Probably
We're
after
kind
the
of,
new year,
yeah,
unless people have debriefs or
yeah,
have stories to tell.
yeah. I think now we're probably going to start consolidating our shows to where when we have, a good chunk of stuff to talk about, so it's not as fluffed. We want to try to
Yeah.
be more, you know, I guess, bulled down in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. People aren't really bringing stuff that aren't part of the tribe.
Hmm.
So it really only comes down to like if the tribe has stories they want to tell,
Yeah.
then we have a Monday meeting. But unless there's public audience that starts to engage, you know.
Hmm. Yep. Well, so whenever that is, I guess keep on the lookout for the notification.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll
Yeah.
see you next year.
See y'all next year.